Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the Next Level podcast. My name is Mitchell Johnson. I'm going to be your host. Actually, there's nobody else here, so I don't know if host is the appropriate term or not, but I'm going to be with you today talking through the segments of this podcast. I just want to thank you for clicking on, joining me today. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you'll find some good content that you can use to improve your pickleball game. If so, I hope that you'll subscribe and be on the lookout for the next podcast that I create. So let's go ahead and get started. I just want to introduce myself to you a little bit. Again, my name is Mitchell. I am a teaching pro in Augusta, Georgia. I also teach in North Augusta, South Carolina, which they're like right by each other. So I teach in Georgia and South Carolina. And I have been teaching for almost 2 years now. Started doing it full time about a year ago. So started playing back in 2020 when the pandemic hit. I was working a full time job and we got kind of slow because of the virus, and I was looking for something to do. And I had some friends who played this sport called pickleball, and thought I would give it a try. I was, athletic growing up. I played baseball, basketball, golf, just about every sport you could think of. And so I decided to try out this weird game called pickleball that was played with a little hard wiffle ball, and I fell in love with it, just like many of you have. So I started playing, came relatively good kind of quick, and really enjoyed teaching the game. I found myself kind of helping people when they wanted or didn't want help. I really couldn't tell the difference back then, but I enjoyed teaching the game, and so I became certified and started teaching full time about a year ago. So I do some digital content creation on Instagram, TikTok, that sort of thing. I've got a website that I'll post a link in the bottom of the video for you to click on and kind of check out. But I wanted to create this podcast just because I like to communicate and I like to teach, and I felt like this would be a good outlet to be able to do that and be able to reach people not just in my area, but across the nation, across the globe. Whoever clicks on it can find it and hear me talk about pickleball. So this podcast is going to be directed towards players who just want to improve. I'll be giving coaching tips, strategy tips, mental tips, things like that to kind of help you understand the game better. And I'm excited about that. Excited about interacting with you and conversing with you about these things. If you ever have any questions or you want to understand a little bit more of what I'm talking about, feel free to message me. Feel free to comment below the video or find me on any social media outlet, and I'll be glad to help you how I can. So let's go ahead and get into it. I have a picture that I want to show you that was floating around Facebook the other day, and it was posted to be a joke and to be kind of funny, and it is in a sense. But I thought that there was some applicable things there to pickleball and what it looks like sometimes when we try to improve. So let me pull that up for you really quick. There it is. It's supposed to be funny, but I was thinking about when I saw this picture, I thought about one of my students who mentioned the other day that sometimes pickleball isn't as easy to get good at as we might think. Sometimes we start working on something new, and it's hard and it's difficult, and we just fail at it for a little bit. And so we had a conversation about that, and I was like, you know what, you're absolutely right. So she's a student who is 3-0 to 3-5 player. She is rushing through the transition zone. She likes to hit her drops and kind of come in aggressively. And so we've been working on taking a slower approach, being able to take our time coming through transition. And she's having a bit of a hard time with that. And so, I told her, I was like, look, when we're working through certain things, it's not always going to be perfect, as we're learning how to do it. First, we have to learn how to do it. We have to learn the mental approach to it, the mechanical approach, what we're trying to achieve in a certain thing. But then also too, you have to be able to apply it to a game situation. Coming out of your drilling and that sort of thing, you've got to be able to apply it. And so I told her, I said, you're not gonna be very good at it at first. You're gonna, you know, go through your lessons and go through your drilling, and you're gonna feel really good about it. And then you're gonna get in a game situation, and it's gonna be completely different. And you may lose points, you may lose games, you may not succeed at that the way that you want to. But just trust the process, give yourself time, know that the things that you're working on are going to help you succeed at a higher level. I see so many players that get comfortable doing one or two, maybe three different things, and they do those really well. And it's only effective at the level that they're currently playing. So when we start working on new things, it's frustrating because learning how to hit new shots and learning new strategies isn't easy. It comes with time, it comes with practice. And so there's growing pains in learning how to play this game and learning how to play it at a high level. So we have to be able to introduce new shots and new strategies and new plans. We have to be able to analyze our opponents in a different way and learn how to adjust. And we're only going to be able to do that when we fail and when we, don't succeed at those things the way that we want to. The more we fail, the more we mess up, the more we make mistakes, the more we make bad decisions, the more we learn, and the more we are to kind of adapt to the higher level of play and being able to implement those things into our game. So if you're currently working on something and it's just not coming, maybe you're working with a coach and you're frustrated because you feel like he's giving you bad information. I can't tell you that he's not. I'll trust that he's giving you the right information, but just trust the process and know that as you're learning new things, it's going to be difficult. There's going to be growing pains, and for a little bit, you're just going to stink. It's not going to come easy. So trust it. Know that you're working on things that are going to help you get better. And eventually one day it's just going to click and you're just going to start getting better. And when you do that, then you'll have another tool in your tool belt that you can use against your opponents and win matches. And you just become a little more diverse and versatile in your game. And it's going to make you even more better. So trust the process, even if it feels like you're flying into a bug zapper sometimes. So let's move on to the next segment here. In this podcast, I want to do some point breakdowns. We'll look at some different videos from either my games I play, games I video, or we'll take a look at some pro matches where we can kind of look at some different things and kind of gain from the pros. I will say that as we go through pro matches and we start looking at matches from the PPA or MLP or APP, wherever we pull those from, that watching the pros and analyzing the pros is a little bit different than what we do as amateurs. They're able to do things that we're not able to do. They drill, 15, 20 hours a week. Most amateurs don't get the opportunity to do that. So they're just able to do things a little bit differently. So as we go through that, don't feel like I'm expecting you to do things the way that pros do. We just want to be able to glean off of them and kind of look at their game and realize the things that we can do and the things that we should be doing. And as we get to those points, I'll kind of explain the difference between what amateurs do and what pros do and kind of how we don't need to mimic the pros all the time. But I'll try to do a good job of explaining that. So here we have a clip from a point between the Johns brothers and Dylan Frazier and J.W. Johnson. What we're going to be looking at here is our position coming through transition. So I teach my students a lot on transition, the importance of getting to the kitchen line and being able to follow up good third shot drops or high third shot drops with good transition work, good transition defense, and being able to move up to the kitchen line. So this video is actually of what not to do when coming through transition. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you, and then we will break it down from there.
Frazier went flying back to try and deal with that, and then again got in a good position and couldn't make the one after the overhead.
Another try here. And the 2 seed will not get a point.
So that was a pretty short-lived point right there. Usually when you're coming through transition and you're not getting to the kitchen line, the points are usually pretty short. So let's take a look at this really quick. So I want us to look at the position of J.W. Johnson coming through transition right here. If you don't know, he is the one down on the bottom left. He's the one that initially hits the third shot drop and follows it up with a bad fifth shot. So we have the serve, the return of service. The ball comes back to JW, and he hits a third shot drop. Good return, had him make a really tough third shot drop right there. And the first thing right there is usually when we have a return that kind of pushes us back, we see how far J.W. Johnson is off the court. We know that we're not going to make it all the way up to the kitchen line off of that third shot drop, even if it's really good. So what I usually do is if I'm taking a third shot drop that's that deep, I'm usually looking to move in a couple steps inside the baseline and get ready for the next. So his third shot drop is left a little bit high. If you look at Colin Johns, the one who is about to hit the ball at the top of the screen, you'll actually see that he is going to take the ball about net height or a little above the net. He's definitely not making it bounce. You can kind of read your opponents and see how good your third shot drop is based off of whether or not they are reaching below the net to hit or if they're kind of preparing to hit it above the net. So be on the lookout for that. But he hits the ball above the net, which it's not a terrible third shot drop. It is a little bit high, but it's not the end of the world. You've got two things going on here with J.W. Johnson and Dylan Frazier, though. So when J.W. hits this third shot drop, you'll see Dylan Frazier, his partner, kind of creeping in just to take advantage of a good third shot drop. But as soon as he sees that it's high, you'll actually see him take a step back right there, and he gets in a good low position ready for that ball at his feet. J.W. Johnson, on the other hand, does something completely different, and he starts running in, and you'll see at the point of contact, he's still moving in. As that ball is traveling towards his feet, he's still moving in, and he ends up having to dig that ball out almost behind him near his feet. That's always going to be a recipe for disaster as far as popping the ball up and giving our opponent something to put away. We want to make sure that we're stopped in a good low position, and that's something that didn't happen here. So we ended up with a pop-up. You'll see JW is not in a good position to block that ball back into the kitchen from there, and the rest is history. Pops it up,
and the 2 seed.
So we want to make sure that we're in a good position through that transition zone. All right, so let's take a look at the next video here. All right, so I've actually got two videos that I want to look at when it comes to how we should position ourselves coming through transition. I believe that one of the best players on tour to do this is Vivian David. So I've got a couple of clips of her coming through transition, playing defense in the transition zone. You can tell she is a very good defensive player just because of her position. She gets in a low position and she's always ready for balls at her feet. So let's watch through this clip and then we'll take a look at what she's doing here.
No go.
All right, they actually didn't end up winning that point, but that's okay. What we can see here, however, is what Vivian David does in order for her team to get to the kitchen line. So what we have is a third shot drop here by Julian Arnold. All right, and they actually get somewhat in, and well, no, they don't on this point. I apologize. So they're working their way in, and I want you to look at Vivian David right here. So she's coming in kind of aggressively as Julian Arnold is hitting this third shot drop. But as soon as she realizes that that ball is going to be left a little bit high, especially with Jack's sock and how tall he is reaching into the kitchen, Vivian David takes a more defensive position. She knows that there's going to be a ball that's going to be have a little more pressure than if it were a better drop. So you'll see her actually hunker down right here. See, she's got bent knees. She's got her paddle near waist height. All right, and she's ready for something low. Unlike the video before where we saw JW just kind of running through transition, trying to, I guess, take advantage of a high ball or something like that. But Vivian David right here is in a good position. That's the position we want to have in transition. When I'm teaching my students, I actually teach them to have their paddle a little bit further down. This is one of those situations where I feel like pros are able to do things that most amateurs aren't able to do. So right now she's just got her paddle in a waist height position. And I like this because this actually allows her to be a little more aggressive if she gets a ball that's left a little bit high. She's standing a little too far back for me to be aggressive. I wouldn't be aggressive there, but if she gets this ball in a high position, she may decide to counterattack and try to do something aggressive from there. So as they go forward, she doesn't end up getting this ball, but she's in a great position to get it if Jack were to hit it to her. And then they end up working their way through. So they're kind of playing defense right now, trying to get a ball down. And you'll see right here, Vivian gets down low again, ready for that ball. She's not moving through. She is not standing straight up. She's getting ready for a ball that's going to be coming low through the court. And right here, she actually got a ball high enough where she felt like she could attack and maybe get something out of it. Maybe she saw that her opponents were kind of out of position, that Jack was kind of favoring the middle. Maybe she felt like she could get something here, but she actually decides to take that waist-high ball right there and pull the trigger from the transition zone. I don't mind that. That's good. The good thing about that is she realized when she needed to reset. Well, she popped that one up and Julian Arnold reset, but they're in a low position. They're ready to handle those balls. They can play defense in transition if they need to. If both of them are just standing straight up, it's going to be hard for them to do that. So here, Vivian David ends up in a low position. She's got her paddle down. She's ready for that ball, and she takes that ball out of the air and resets into transition or into the kitchen zone, and they're able to make their way up to the kitchen line and play the point out from there. So when we're coming through transition, make sure we're in a low position, paddle down, paddle ready. Stopping and getting low through transition is going to be about 80% of the work. It's a lot. When I'm working with students who are having trouble through transition, even if they don't have mechanical things there to help them get that ball in the kitchen, just by stopping and getting low, they give themselves a really good chance. And a lot of them start making balls over into the kitchen that they usually wouldn't, or that they didn't expect to get over into the kitchen. So stop, get low, and get ready for that next ball. For the amateurs that I teach them that when you hit your third shot drop and it's working its way over the net towards your opponent, that's where you want to stop and get ready. Pros probably do this a little bit later just because they have better insight, they have better judgment, and they're able to kind of handle balls a little bit quicker than we are. So I want to make sure that my students, I do this myself, when that ball is coming over the net, I'm stopping, I'm getting low, and getting ready for that next ball. So we want to get low there and be in a good position so we don't create that pop-up like we saw before. And here is another quick video that we will show. It's the same match, and it is again Vivian David. Let's pull this up here. That's beautiful work right there by Vivian David. She actually comes in and she pops up a ball here, and she leaves it really high, and she retreats back and she gets low and she gets in a good defensive position. So as she's coming through here, we've got a return, third shot drop. You see she's still moving in right here, and she split steps just in time, but she gets a ball in an awkward position and just pops it up. that happens sometimes, even though she was in a good position. She pops it up, and as soon as she does, she knows that Jack Sock is going to be able to be aggressive with that ball. So she retreats back, takes her time, and she's able to get down in time to be able to make a defensive play on this ball. So this position right here, when we're playing defense, that should be the position that we want to be in. We want to have our knees bent. We want to have our paddle low. We want to be ready to take that ball at our feet, but also be able to take it out of the air and block it back into the kitchen when we have the opportunity to do so. So this right here was actually a good place ball by Jack Sock. That ball right there that you have to take out of the air near the shin area is a really hard ball to handle. And Vivian David did a great job of doing that. So she's able to block that ball back into the kitchen, and now they can move in. All right. And just another thing here that's unrelated to transition. When your opponents are coming in like that, it's a good opportunity to try a lob, just because you can catch them off guard or catch them leaning forward coming into the kitchen, and the point plays out from there. If you feel like you are one that kind of rushes in through transition, I try to remind my students, stop, breathe, break it down into segments. You don't have to get to that kitchen line off of your third shot drop, even if it is perfect. Be ready to take a next ball through transition. If it takes you 3, 4, 5 shots to get into the kitchen line, that's okay. That's not a problem at all. You'll watch some pros that kind of take that approach, especially when they're playing against really aggressive players. They like to take their time, take as many balls as they need to, get that ball into the kitchen, and then work their way up to the kitchen line. So don't be afraid to breathe and take your time. You don't always have to rush through that transition zone to get to the kitchen line as fast as you can. So in this podcast, I also want to kind of give some mental pointers and things like that when I can, how we approach the game, things that aren't necessarily physical or strategy, but the mental is just as important as the physical. Sometimes we have to have just the grind, the mental toughness, the focus. We have to have those things, the determination, all of those things within inside of ourselves that allow us to compete at a high level. If we have a good pickleball game, but we don't have mental toughness, or we're not aware of, how we're approaching our game, or we just have a poor mentality, that can actually affect our play on court, and it can make us a poor player. So a couple of weeks ago, I was at a tournament, and it was a pretty big tournament, and I've got some friends who were playing in a higher level bracket, and I had already lost, which I was pretty upset about, but that's a story for a different day. But I asked my friends how they were doing, and they were a little bummed, because they had lost in the first round, and they were, in the back draw, only able to play for bronze. And so, they were upset. The guy was like, we're just in the consolation bracket. You could tell he was really upset about that. And I was like, don't worry about it. Just keep playing and whatever, trying to encourage him how I could or whatever. And so it was funny because that night I actually got on to pickleball brackets to kind of look up some of the draw results, how some of those brackets played out. And this team didn't even win bronze. And so it got me thinking, of course we want to win gold. We want to win silver. That's the goal. We want to be the best. We want to win, especially when you're playing at a high level and, you're super competitive and, that sort of thing. Even happens at a lower level. That's fine too. But it's okay to get disappointed when we don't have the opportunity to play for gold or silver anymore. When we lose in the first or second round, it's disappointing. We want to go as far as we can, but we also have to get used to making the best out of each situation that we can. If you've lost the first round or you've lost the second round and you can no longer play for gold, bronze is still a really great achievement. It's a great medal to have. It's something that you can hang your hat on. And at the end of the day, it's about doing the best that you can with the circumstances you're given. Yeah, maybe you didn't win gold or didn't win silver, but I'd rather win bronze than walk away with nothing. And I would want to walk into that bronze medal match just as amped or just as pumped or excited to win as I would the gold or silver match. I know that that's not realistic in most cases, but we still want to be excited about getting bronze. And so my thought on that is if you're not excited or you're not willing to win a bronze medal, you probably don't deserve gold or silver either. A lot of times we can go into a consolation match or a bronze medal match and feel like we've failed. We feel like we've lost. We feel like we have, let ourselves down, let our partners down, and we just don't play our best in a bronze medal match, and we end up losing, or we end up just losing in a consolation match. And in my opinion, that's a poor attitude to have. I want to make sure that when I walk into a match, whether it's for fourth place, for third place, for a gold medal, that I played my best and I don't leave anything on the table. If I drive home from a tournament and I'm thinking, man, I wish I hadn't have checked out for that bronze medal match, wish I would have stayed serious, wish I would have stayed focused. If I'm thinking those things, that's a big failure to me. So just remember, yeah, you're going to lose some matches where you don't have the ability to win gold or silver or whatever the case is. But for your next match, get up for it. Get excited about it. Be ready to win. Be ready to bring everything that you have. Bring your best self. Bring your best pickleball player, and play your butt off. Do your best to win. Don't let your partner down. Pick each other up and go out there and play your best pickleball. I think that's a great mentality to have. Not only in pickleball, but in life. We just want to make the best out of every situation that we can. A lot of times, I'm a big college football fan. And so you'll see, some of these college football teams at the end of the season going to these bowl games where they feel like they should be in a better bowl game. So they might get to the, Frito Lay's whatever bowl, and it's not that great of a bowl. So they show up, they don't really play, they don't really care to be there, and they lose. And I think that's a shame to do that. Make the best of your situation. Go play hard. Let your work show up on the court. And sometimes it's going to go in your favor, sometimes it's not. But make sure you don't leave anything out on that court. So that's all I have for today's podcast. Hope you found some of these tips, some of these instructional things helpful. Hopefully you can start to improve them in your game. Like I said, feel free to reach out to me on any social media platform that you have. I'm on TikTok, kind of. I post a little on there. Facebook, Instagram. I've got a Twitter that I don't really use, but if you message me through there, I will find it. But I think the best place you can go to find more information about me is my website. I've got different blog videos, blog article content. I've got a contact section where you can send me an email. All of my social media stuff is there. You'll be able to find anything that you need. So if you want to follow me, if you want to message me, if you want to subscribe to this YouTube podcast, please do so, just so you'll be updated and ready for the next one when it comes out. But hit me up on my website. It's www.mitchelljohnsonpickleball.com. I'll leave a link below this video. I'm not really sure how to do that, but I'm going to figure it out. And look forward to talking to you and discussing pickleball. If you ever just have any questions, let me know. So, all right, guys. So we'll be ready for the next episode, hopefully in a week or so. I'll be putting that out. And before I leave, though, I want to give you a bad pickleball joke if you're ready for it. All right. So what do you call a woman standing in the middle of a pickleball court? A net. Don't blame me. Blame the internet. All right. Until next time, guys, we'll see you. Thanks for checking me out. We'll see you on the next episode.